John F. Kennedy, sworn in as 35th President of the US of A. 37-pound chimpanzee is rocketed into space on Mercury Redstone 2, Project Mercury spacecraft, which was designed to carry US astronauts into space. And the Beatles performed Cavern Club under the Beatles name for the very first time. The year is 1961, and this truck could be had at your local Studebaker dealer. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that inspires you to drive something different. We feature the classics, vintage, some exotics. This channel is home for the orphan cars. Engine episodes on Wednesday, history, specs, design, but most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that would totally interest you, something that you will totally look forward and dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This interesting looking 1961 Studebaker Champ pickup truck is currently for sale at Classic Auto Mall, Morgantown, Pennsylvania, with over 1,000 cars for sale when recording this episode. There is something there for everyone. Anybody can go explore their inventory, financing, shipping available for hours of operation, directions, and to see more pictures of this very truck, be sure to click the link below. After the show, 1961 Studebaker model lineup consisted of the Lark, the Hawk. Studebaker offered the Champ truck line, and Studebaker also offered medium duty and commercial trucks. Studebaker offered the Champ from 1960 through 1964. The Champ was a light-duty pick-em-up truck. Studebaker was broke when they were designing this truck, so Studebaker engineers were forced to use parts and components from other cars to make this truck. They were only budgeted $900,000 to make this truck. It's also important to note that this truck was the biggest upgrade to Studebaker truck in 10 years. Studebaker Champ gave us the sliding rear window at the back of the cab in trucks. Let's talk specs. The 1961 Studebaker Champ could be had with technically four different bed options. You had the standard bed with the wheels on the outside of the bed, or space bed, which became available early in 1961. The space bed, or P2 box, was the wide box and was purchased from Dodge. Also offered stake bed and platform. Studebaker Champ was offered in half-ton and 3/4-ton configurations with 6.5-foot bed or 8-foot bed. It's important to note, if you got the 3/4-ton option, you were only limited to the 8-foot bed. The 6.5-foot bed rides a wheelbase of 112 inches. The 8-foot bed rides a wheelbase of 122 inches. Price for the half-ton 6.5-foot bed standard bed was $2,082, which is equivalent to you spending $22,051.96 in the year 2024. Total 1961 Studebaker production was 59,713 units, of which 61 Champ truck was 5,500 units. Moving on to engine, which there were three. In the basement was brand new for 1961. Studebaker would take their flathead and make it into an overhead valve, much like when AMC did the same thing to their 196. It's important to note that this engine is prone to head cracking, so just so you're aware. 170 cubic inch displacement overhead valve, inline 6, 2.8 liters. It's good for 112 horsepower, 4,500 RPM, 156 pound-feet, or 209 newton meters at around 2,000 RPM, with a bore of 3 inches and a stroke of 4 inches. Compression is 8.5 to 1, featured 4 main bearings. Moving on to the middle option. 259 cubic inch displacement overhead valve, V8, 4.2 liters. It's good for 180 horsepower, 4,500 RPM, 260 pound-feet, or 353 newton meters at 2,800 RPM, with a bore of 3.6 inches and a stroke of 3.3 inches. Compression is 8.5 to 1. 5 main bearings. Moving on to the biggest and baddest engine offered in the Champ truck, 285 cubic inch displacement overhead valve, V8, 4.7 liters. It's good for anywhere between 210 to 225 horsepower with optional 4-barrel carburetor at 4,500 RPM, 300 pound-feet at 2,800 RPM. With a bore of 3.6 inches and a stroke of 3.6 inches, compression is 8.8 to 1, 5 main bearings.
Let's talk styling. Look at this piece here that comes back and meets with the front. This front end looks very Lark-like. Also notice, I don't know if you'd call these Frenched. They're sitting inside. There's less, but they're not sitting inside equally. It's shallower here than it is up here. It's deeper here than it is down here. Turn signals. This one has fog lights and or accessory lights. So look at all the different layers here. The hood is really smooth, aside from this little tiny bulged area right here. Also notice how that tapers coming towards the nose of the truck, I should say. Look at how this is all designed. The fenders do flare out. Champ badge right underneath the side mirror. Look at how the side mirror is designed as well as mounted. This truck also has vent windows, which are very slender. Has opposing windshield wipers, no cowl vent. The windshield does curve. This truck also has drip rails, almost like a rain dam here, and then comes out the back. Notice the back. Look how that bevels down. Gas filler is right here where I believe it should be. Driver's side. Check out this bed. It's pretty long, but it's also kind of sort of narrow. Fenders. Also notice up here it's relatively smooth. Back here it flares out. Just check out that Studebaker. Can't miss it. Can't mistake it for anything else. Brake lights. So just check out how this door is designed. There's a bit of custom tweaks to this. I'm pretty sure that this door panel isn't stock. Armrest. Window crank for the big window operates like that. Vent window, which operates like that. Door handle right here. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, high beam switch, clutch, brake, gas pedal, hood release. Go ahead and release that. Handbrake is right there. Just take a look at this interior. The seats are not original as well. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood looks like.
On to the button switches and knobs. Starting on the left and moving right, headlights, left turn signal indicator, amp meter, oil pressure, which are aftermarket gauges, aftermarket horn button, speedometer with odometer inside of it, and it looks to be the high beam indicator right underneath that. Coolant temperature, gasoline gauge, amp meter, oil pressure, which are both idiot lights, right turn signal indicator, windshield wiper, and ignition.
Up above, there are sun visors. They look like this. I think the headliner was redone as well. It doesn't feel like the same kind of material that they would have had back then. Sun visor for the passenger. Oval shaped rear view mirror. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. Here's my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. It's got cup indentations, but that's a pretty big size glove box, all things considered. Yeah, it fits in there, but it won't shut. So yeah, I could take it apart, but that's not fair to the other cars. So I guess it doesn't fit because it doesn't shut. There's an ashtray over here, as well as cigarette lighter.
Nestled under the hood is a 289 cubic inch displacement V8 generator. Notice the coil is mounted to the firewall. Oil filter is outside of the block and is mounted to the intake manifold. Moving to the driver's side, battery, solenoid. Notice the distributor is in the back, much like a Chevy. Single belt, driving accessories. On the positive side, different type of truck. So if you're looking for different and Cybertruck is too radical, this might be your ticket. Large club support, 3 power plants to choose from. Against it, they have a cobbled together kind of appearance. Studebaker rust issues. It's worth mentioning that later trucks were fiberglass, but in 61, these were made of steel. They like to rot out in the floorboards and inner panels, so be sure to scrutinize any of these that you're looking at. Studebaker's known oil leaks. Also be aware that heads crack on the 170 overhead valve in line 6, so be sure that you check out the heads on those. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1961 Chevy El Camino or 1961 Studebaker Champ or 1961 Ford Falcon Ranchero? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free. Pause the video. Now it's time for the second scenario, a bit outside the box. But which one would you rather have? 1961 Corvair Rampside or 1961 Studebaker Champ or 1961 Ford Econoline? Once again, gonna leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have your comment pinned to the top of it. Little bit easier one today. They can't all be hard. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. Or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. I call it the After Party. It gives you the opportunity to share your rides, stories, experiences. Anything that you would like to share car related is a go on there. If you don't have Facebook and would still like to reach me, send me an email. All of it will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate everything that you guys bring in the comment section. And until next time, toodaloo! There's a little gold ring you wear on your hand that makes me understand.